Former Vice President Mike Pence says he has not entered the 2024 presidential race despite reports that he filed a statement of candidacy. A spokesperson clarifying former Vice President Mike Pence did not file to run for president today. When pushed on it by reporters, the spokesperson suggested that filing could have been a prank on the media. Well, the confusion stemming from a statement for candidacy filed for Mike Richard Pence with the Federal Elections Commission. His previous FEC filings listed him as Michael, not Mike. It remains unclear whether the former VP will throw his hat in the race. If he does, though, he is up against his old boss, former President Trump, who announced his candidacy last month. And it has been a year of outrageous headlines from the mainstream media, so why not review some of the most memorable moments that made us all do a double, even a triple take?
Beverly Hallberg is the president of District Media Group and an Independent Women's Forum fellow and joins us now. Beverly, oh boy. Okay, let's start with the media's constant attacks on Republicans. A CNN headline from March claims, yes, it's Republicans' fault Congress is so polarized. Remember that one? And the New York Times also claimed that Republicans wrongly blame Biden for rising gas prices. So what do you think about these headlines?
Yeah, well, we saw those types of headlines, and we saw two words used quite a bit against Republicans, and that was the word seize and pounce. If you just did a search on Republicans pounce, you would see article after article where the media are attacking them for, frankly, doing their job and standing up for what they believe in. So it seemed that there was nothing Republicans could do that was right this year, and the media saw them as the bad actors all the way around.
All right, what about this one? This was when the media melted down over Elon Musk's Twitter takeover. The Washington Post warned Musk, quote, will be bad for Twitter, while Time Magazine targeted tech bros' obsession with free speech. Wow. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it seems that there is one thing that the so-called free press couldn't handle this year, and that was the idea of free speech. Elon Musk taking over Twitter just caused a major meltdown, from doomsday proclamations to actually lambasting Elon Musk for exposing the censorship and the collaboration with the FBI. It seems as though journalists didn't want actual journalism, and that is what Elon Musk brought to the table.
The tech bros' obsession with free speech, like it's a bad thing. I think that's a really good thing to be obsessed with, if you ask me. All right, also this. Remember when the media finally realized the Hunter Biden laptop story was real, even though the Post reported the story years ago? The Washington Post and the New York Times both confirmed the story in March, over 15 months after the New York Post's report on Biden's secret emails. So they got it right, but it took them a really long time, Beverly.
And look, this is their job. Their job is to figure this out and to report on it. Like you just mentioned, the Washington Post took them about a year and a half to finally show that this laptop was verified. It took CBS 2 years. And of course, during this whole time, they were saying there was no way to verify this. And let's not forget that the New York Post was also censored on Twitter before Elon Musk took over, of course, for a long time. And people found this laughable. The media would say that there's no way to verify it. And so when they finally do admit that people were right all along, it's a very quiet trickle of the news. There is no, we are so sorry, we got it wrong. It's, oh, yes, here is what we know now, and they want to move on from it very quietly.
And, you know, Beverly, this one, I'm sure, struck a nerve with a lot of people. Remember when the media tried to declare a pandemic amnesty? The Atlantic report explained how, quote, we need to forgive one another for what we did and said when we were in the dark about COVID. Oh, boy.
Well, I know I'm not the only one who found this not just laughable, but insulting. I was one of those who did come on this network and talked about being unvaccinated due to an underlying health condition. And I can say that when the media and even the president of the United States calls this a pandemic of the unvaccinated, saying that we should just all kumbaya and get along without some actual reconciliation for what took place, I think a lot of people are in the same place that I am, which is, yes, forgiveness is important, but it's also important to admit what was wrong, and that still hasn't taken place.
We have one more for you, Beverly. The New York Times dubbed President Biden the storyteller in chief, despite his constant gaffes. So in this situation, the Times tried to cover for the president and argue that he was embracing storytelling as a way of connecting with his audience, often emphasizing the truth. So there were a lot of times on the campaign trail or when he was doing public speaking events where he would literally lie or fabricate things from his past. They're just saying, it's just storytelling.
We all know this. Anybody watching the president know that he's not at the top of his game, that a lot of the story he tells, he's at least fibbing them, if not outright lying. But yet the press seemed hell-bent, not just on trying to downplay some of the mistakes he made when he would speak, but actually try to praise him for his brilliance, as we saw in this story. I think this comes down to, though, not them just trying to protect President Biden, the man himself, but actually trying to protect him because of his progressive ideology. I think a lot of us saw the bias. It was very obvious.
Right. Speaking of bias, all those headlines going in one political direction, which should come as a surprise to nobody. Beverly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.